Have you ever, like, run into a character who just doesn't fit in a neat box? You know, someone who's maybe brilliant, but also really superstitious? Or, I don't know, a total powerhouse, but secretly super gentle?
Yeah, those contradictions, that's what makes them stick with you, right? Makes them feel real.
Exactly. And today, we're doing a deep dive on someone who's basically the definition of that. Toph Beifong from Avatar, The Last Airbender.
Ah, Toph, definitely one of the greats.
We're going to try and unpack why she's just so complex, so contradictory sometimes, looking at how she sees, you know, her gender, her independence, her blindness, all of it.
And we're just looking at some really great analysis, too, from that YouTube video. I wish I'd realized this sooner about Toph from the soap. Really insightful stuff.
Totally. And the core idea, maybe the paradox, is how Toph manages to hold these like opposite ideas together without it feeling fake.
Mm-hmm. And the show itself kind of does that, too, especially when they introduce her. It really plays with what we, the audience, expect.
Oh, absolutely. Her introduction is just perfect. Yep. Book 2, Chapter 6, The Blind Band. Team Avatar needs an earthbending teacher for ATLA, right?
Yeah, and they end up in this pretty shady underground earthbending arena.
And the show just leans into what you think an earthbender should be. You see these big, bulky guys.
Like the boulder, who Sokka instantly loves, of course.
Right, so you're totally primed to expect the champion, the blind bandit, to be, you know, even bigger, tougher.
They really build it up. The announcer's booming voice, the camera work.
Yeah, best shot. Starting way up high on the belt, panning down slowly, that low angle making the figure seem massive. You're thinking, okay, here comes the giant.
And then, bam, the lights come up, camera pulls back, and it's
teeny tiny Toph.
Just this little girl. And it's clearly meant to be, like, most cute in that moment. The contrast is staggering.
It really is.
Yeah.
And look at the details. The championship belt's practically her size. The cape is dragging.
Even the ring girls, who are pretty slender, look huge next to her. It makes Toph look like a toddler. It's kind of a jab at boxing trope.
Could be. But mostly it just demolishes our expectation.
Exactly. The show is doing what Toph does later. It's playing into an image that relies on our misguided preconceptions.
You see it in Sokka immediately shouting, "She's going down."
And even Katara questioning, she can't really be blind, right? It's part of the act.
Yeah, it shows how everyone, including us watching, gets it wrong because we judge based on that first impression, those biases.
So the lesson right off the bat is, well, seeing isn't always believing. Your eyes can definitely...
Which connects so perfectly to Toph herself, doesn't it? This idea of exploiting perceptions while also deep down hating them.
Mm-hmm. That's one of her big internal struggles, I think. She absolutely hates being seen as weak or helpless blind.
It's core to her character when she joins. Think about her parent.
Right. Her dad's view. My daughter is blind. She's blind and tiny and helpless and fragile. That repetition tells you...
That's why she ran away. And it's why she clashes with Katara at first, right? She thinks the gang trying to help is just coddling her, belittling her.
Yeah, she resists any hint of being treated differently, but... And this is the fast part. She's also incredibly pragmatic.
How so?
Well, while she hates why people see her as potentially helpless, she's smart enough to know they do. And she's totally willing to use that perception when it suits her.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Like when they're at her home, the Beifong place, and she wants the others to leave.
Exact. She fakes being scared, calls the guard saying she heard something, plays the damsel to get her way.
And later... in the Fire Nation with those street scammers.
Oh, that's classic Toph. I'm just a simple blind girl. Lulls them right into a false sense of security.
And then bang, she's scammed. Brilliant.
Because she's a realist. She knows this is the world she lives in. People will make assumptions. So if she can turn those assumptions to her advantage, she will.
It shows her growth later, though, that she does kind of learn to accept help sometime, with Iroh's wisdom nudging her.
True. Realizing asking for help isn't weakness, but that initial instinct, that willingness to exploit the perception, that's pure Toph.
So this duality, it leads into some deeper ways of looking at her disability, doesn't it? The source material got into some academic ideas.
Yeah, specifically looking at whether Toph falls into that super-crip trope.
Okay, explain that a bit. What's a super-crip?
It's a pretty common trope, you know? A character with a disability who does amazing things basically to overcome it, to become normal, but in a heroic way. I think Daredevil, maybe. Their disability becomes a kind of superpower that cancels out the lack.
Right.
But the critique is that this trope can sometimes minimize the actual challenges or systemic barriers faced. It can imply, well, if this person can do it, why can't everyone?
So it kind of puts the burden back on the individual.
Exactly. So the analysis we looked at argues Toph doesn't really fit that. Instead, she fits more of a proud disabled person archetype, PDP.
Okay, PDP, what does that involve?
Well, the source mentioned 3 key. First, disability is shown as having potential gain, not just being a tragedy.
Again, how does that work?
Think about when Toph is actually disadvantaged. It's usually because of things people built or situations people created.
Like metal prison or being stuck on APA.
Right. Or her parents' house. the drill. These are mostly constructions of people, things that don't account for her way of experiencing the world. But in a natural setting, with Earth all around, she's not less equipped.
Because her earthbending is like a sixth sense.
Precisely. She uses it to see the world, like reading Braille. It's not just making up for blindness, it's a huge gain. It lets her perceive things literally no one else can. It's an alternative, powerful way of sensing.
Okay, that makes sense. What are the other PDP points?
Second, the character is fully developed and nuanced, which, we're definitely seeing with Toph. And third, they're a central driver of the plot.
And Toph definitely is. She's not just Aang's teacher. She's involved in everything. Decisions, fights, the group's emotional stuff.
Absolutely. And the ultimate example of this disability game is Metalbending.
Right, she invented it.
And it wasn't about overcoming blind. It came directly from her unique perspective. She learned from the bad, feeling those tiny earth impurities in the metal. She saw it differently because she experienced the world differently.
Something no sighted earthbender had ever figured out.
Exactly. It's a beautiful metaphor, really. It shows the incredible value of diversity and perspective. Having someone see the world differently can lead to breakthroughs you'd never expect.
No, that's a really powerful way to look at it. But going back, a lot of her toughness, her independence seems rooted in her family. Right?
Oh, absolutely. Her relationship with her parents is fundamental to who she becomes.
That constant message from blind, tiny, helpless, fragile.
That perception, constantly hammered home, created this massive chip. Any offer of help felt like someone saying...
She hated the fancy life too, didn't she? The upper class stuff.
Totally rejected it. All those lavish balls and formal events felt like another kind of prison to her, which fuels her whole anti-authority vibe, especially against someone like Katara who values community structure.
There's that intense moment in the Runaway episode.
Yeah, when Katara suggests Toph acts out because she feels guilty about her parents, not because she hates them.
And Toph just snaps back, I do hate them. So raw.
And layered on top of that is the revelation that her parents basically hid her existence from the world. People in her hometown didn't know the Beifongs had a daughter.
Imagine finding that out as a kid. Just devastating.
It explains so much. Her confessions later are heartbreaking, telling Katara, you love the real me, that's more than my mom.
And telling Zuko on Ember Island about running away because she just wanted their love, not just things.
And that line, I'm 12 years old and I've never had a real friend. Oof. It really puts her initial prickliness. She built wall.
What's interesting, though, is that unlike the others in Team Avatar, her story with her parents, it doesn't really get resolved in the original series.
No, it doesn't. That reconciliation just isn't there by the end of it, which is kind of unusual for the main cast.
But maybe that unresolved pain is part of what makes her so defiant.
Could be. Her incredible skill, her whole personality, like this constant assertion of self, despite that history. Her earthbending mastery is like a living middle finger to her parents and everyone who ever underestimated.
Okay, let's shift focus a bit to Toph and femininity, how she sort of breaks the mold there.
Yeah, this is really interesting. The source pointed out she was originally written as a boy, like a big, loud, jock-type teenager.
Well, really?
Yeah, but when they changed her to a girl, crucially, they didn't let that affect who she is as a person. They kept the personality.
So they wrote a person first, not just a girl character.
Exactly, which is why she feels so authentic, both totally badass and totally real.
The Ember Island Players episode highlights this perfectly, doesn't it? When she's thrilled to be played by a big, muscular guy.
I wouldn't have cast it any other way. It shows her self-image is about strength, fierce, not about fitting a certain...
Constantly pushes back against traditional feminine expectations.
Oh, yeah. Early on, asking about a razor for her hairy pit. Katara finds it funny, but it shows Toph just doesn't care about being dainty.
The show often uses her and Katara as foils, right? Mm-hmm. Different ways of being female.
Katara often fits the mother caretaker role, focused on community, very fluid like water. Toph sees her as maybe uptight
whereas Toph rejects being the trophy daughter. She's independent, anti-authority, stubborn like earthbending. Katara sees her as reckless.
And while maybe the writers didn't consciously map all this out, great characters reflect real-world complexities, subconsciously or not.
Plus, their conflicts aren't just about gender. There's class bending philosophy.
It's intersectional, yeah, which makes their dynamic really rich.
But even Toph explores different sides of femininity, like in the Tales of Ba Sing Se Spade.
Right. She's initially super skeptical. My kind of place, she says sarcastically.
But she goes along with it. Sure, whatever, as long as they don't touch her feet.
Which, naturally, is the first thing.
And she hates the pedicure. Scraping your eyeballs. But then...
She actually enjoys the mud mask.
Yeah.
And the sauna. She even admits she feels kind of girly. It shows her identity isn't totally rigid. She can explore.
But then comes that really poignant moment with the mean girls.
Yeah. Making fun of her makeup, calling her a clown.
And you see it land, that shot where it clearly bothers her, even though she tries to brush it off.
It's such a human moment. Logically, maybe you shouldn't care what random people think, but we're wired to care about social acceptance, you know? It hurts to feel like you're not seen as beautiful or just okay.
And Katara's response is just perfect.
So good. She doesn't just dismiss Toph's feelings. She says, you're so strong and confident, and I know it doesn't matter, but you're really pretty.
It validates Toph's strength first, but also acknowledges that flicker of insecurity.
And Toph's reaction, blushing then, punch, her classic affection gesture.
It's a great scene.
Yeah.
But we should also touch on some aspects that feel a bit dated.
Yeah, the gender stuff isn't always perfect by today's standards. Toph uses girly as an insult, quite.
Especially towards Aang, right? Twinkle Toes, comparing him to girls fighting, the flying bald lady comment.
Calling kidnappers old ladies. It was probably seen as pretty standard humor back then in the 2000s.
But looking back, questioning Aang's masculinity just because he's not some macho stereotype, it's kind of the flip side of the coin, isn't it?
Exactly. It's imposing a rigid standard, just like the Mean Girls did to Toph. It adds another layer to her complexity, her contradictions.
Definitely. So despite all these layers, all this complexity, let's not forget, Toph is just fundamentally awesome.
Oh, undisputed. She's incredibly badass.
I love that line when she's training Aang. You just stood your ground against a crazy beast.
Yeah.
And even more impressive, you just stood your ground against me.
Peak Toph comp. She is arguably the strongest bender of her element in the show. Maybe even better than Boone. Controversial, I know.
And the inventor of Metalbending. That alone is legendary.
Plus, she's just hilarious. Her lines roasting Sokka are gold.
I gotta say, I like the idea of not talking to you. Brutal.
But then, underneath all, there's this surprising sauce, this empathy.
Yeah, especially with Zuko when he first joined. She's the one who gives him a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She senses he's not lying. Says, considering his family, he could have turned out. She gets it on some level.
And she's the one who comforts him after the Ember Island play about Iroh being proud, followed by the punch, of course.
Of course. It's that mix, right? Tough as nails, but also warm, sometimes even adorable. Funny, cutting, but also caring. That's what...
So wrapping up, the source we look at mentioned a favorite Toph line, one that captures her vulnerability maybe more than any other.
Oh, yeah.
It's after Aang Aang is talking about friendship, and Toph gets all thoughtful and asks really quietly, do you really think friendships can last more than one lifetime?
Yeah, that hits differently, doesn't it?
It really does. In their world, it's literal. But for us, maybe it's about how we keep coming back to characters like her, rewatching, finding new things each time, like another lifetime with them.
That's a lovely way to put it.
Toph Beifong, folks. What a journey. Subverting expectations, owning her contradictions, redefining strength, navigating trauma, figuring out her own way to be. Just an incredible character.
Absolutely. If you take anything away from this, maybe rewatch the show in mind. Look for those moments that show her humanity, her contradictions.
See how the show encourages you, invites you to look past that first impression.
Definitely.
And maybe ask yourself, if Toph, who experiences the world in such a unique way, teaches us so much about seeing things differently, what could we learn by challenging our own first impressions, our own assumptions about the people and the world around us?